What is up, guys? This is the 40th shelf of my action movie collection, starting off with Live Free or Die Hard. I really enjoyed this movie. This was probably right up there with the original and Die Hard with a Vengeance for me. Had all the old school feel. Absolute love going back to watch this movie. If you're a Bruce Willis fan, this was probably his last absolutely great movie. Then we have The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, Angelina Jolie, and Robert De Niro. The cast for this movie is absolutely phenomenal. If you look at that lineup there. Directed by Robert De Niro too, so I'm sure this was all just a lot of actors wanting to work with Robert De Niro. And it's a long movie too, but interesting, about a guy's life through the beginning of the CIA all the way up until he retires. Very, very good movie. Then we have another old school Bruce Willis action movie with Mercury Rising. This one was okay. I mean, for its time, it was definitely interesting. Not so much these days, but it's Bruce Willis versus Alec Baldwin. The kid, it was kind of probably what did it for me. It was kind of a little irritating, but it was kind of the whole premise of the movie. So it is what it is. Then we have Cleaner with Samuel L. Jackson, Ed Harris, and Eva Mendes. This is one of those whodunit, don't know what's going on till the very end of the movie type of movies. So if you're into those, you'll really enjoy this one. Then we have Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones. If you're a fan of U.S. Marshals and you're a fan and The Fugitive and a fan of disaster movies, this is the one for you. It's the Take Charge Tommy Lee Jones role movie. Very good. I thought this movie was better than Dante's Peak, so worth checking out. Then we have Cellular with Kim Basinger, Chris Evans, Jason Statham, and William H. Macy. This was before Chris Evans was ever Captain America. It's before Jason Statham really blew up, but a very good movie. I mean, considering all these cast members at the beginning of their careers and all that type of stuff, it's just very, very interesting, very different. Looks like $1 million on the screen though. Then we have another old school action star here, Arnold Schwarzenegger in End of Days. I enjoyed this movie. I thought this was really good. Really dark, evil take on religious movies in a way. And the vibe through this whole movie was just amazing. The soundtrack was great. Very tense movie. Then we have the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. Solid comic book watch. Not a bad movie at all. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I laugh every time I see Macho Man Randy Savage in this movie as Bonesaw. Then we have SpiderMan II. This was actually even better than the first one. Another very solid watch with a very solid cast. Then we have SpiderMan III. This one was okay. Not as good as the other two, but still very solid. So worth watching and checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Changing Lanes with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson. This is one of those kind of skewed character thriller movies. Was an amazing cast, especially these two. So worth checking out if you're a fan of either of these two actors. Then we have Derailed. I'll be honest, it's been a long time since I've watched this movie. I don't really remember it being too fantastic, so I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone unless they were just looking for something that you haven't seen before. It is kind of one of those movies where you don't know what's going on to the very end. It just wasn't done as well as other movies in the same type of genre. Then we have Red Eye with Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy. Very solid watch, worth checking out if you haven't seen it before and you're a Wes Craven fan. Very tense, very violent, very dark. You know, this came out the same year as Flight Plan, and out of the two of them, this was definitely the better movie. Obviously, they're two different movies, but still. Then we have Inside Man with Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, and Jodie Foster. I wasn't too impressed with this movie. It's a Spike Lee movie, so that's about all it had going for it. You know, great cast, but just, I don't know, it was just kind of, it's one of those movies where you don't know what's going on to the very end, but it just isn't, it's not Denzel's best work. Then we have Faster with The Rock. Solid action movie. Interesting, you know, it's early Rock movie career, so fun movie to watch if you're a fan of old school action movies. Then we have Fighting with Channing Tatum and Terrence Howard. Fun movie to watch. Good cast, interesting story. You know, way different than some other movies that you see out there. It's kind of in a way like Never Back Down, only with adults. Then we have Deep Impact. Can never go wrong with a good high-budget disaster movie. The cast for this movie was great. I preferred Armageddon over this movie as my favorite, but this was still very solid. This was more of a dramatic take on an Armageddon type situation. But still, I love disaster movies, so this is definitely up there. Then we have Sahara with Matthew McConaughey, Steve Zahn, and Penelope Cruz. Good adventure action movie, especially if you're a fan of Matthew McConaughey, you'll enjoy this movie. I remember it did really well in the box office at the time. Then we have The International with Clive Owen and Naomi Watts. Very good political thriller action movie. Very interesting about like the world's most powerful bank and what they can do and get away with and all that type of stuff. So you'll enjoy this movie. Then we have Kiss of Death. This was an amazing cast early in their careers as well. I remember watching this off of Netflix when I first got Netflix. And I still to this day use Netflix more as a way to screen what I'm going to buy. And this was one of those gems I found on Netflix that I definitely had to get on physical media. Then we have Stiletto, which is another one of those movies I watched off of Netflix that I had to get. Harder movie to find, but a lot of, it's got an interesting cast. You know, a lot of very recognizable names. And had to pick it up. Even the lady from, the lead is the lady from Castle. So worth checking out for sure. Very violent. Oh my God, violent. Then we have ICU with Sylvester Stallone. One of those you don't know what's going on to the very end movies with, you know, one of your old school action stars that you love so much. And it was pretty solid. You know, it wasn't horrible. I know it didn't do well at the box office. This was not the biggest success for Stallone. Then we have Streets of Blood with Val Kilmer and Curtis Jackson, or 50 Cent. And this takes place after Katrina in New Orleans. You know, they're cops trying to maintain order in a pretty much lawless area. And it was okay. It was a solid outing for 50 Cent. And Val Kilmer and him, I guess, were good buddies at this time. Obviously, this was before Val Kilmer's diagnosis. And then we have Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone. You know, one of Sylvester Stallone's classic movies here. Very solid watch, very fun watch. John Lithgow was absolutely fantastic in this movie. And same with the people who played his henchmen. Michael Rooker and Stallone did amazing together. Absolutely fun watch. If you haven't seen it before, definitely need to check it out. But that will do it for this shelf. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Your support is much appreciated. I'm also over on Letterboxd. The link to that is over in the profile description of this channel. Otherwise, until next time, have a good one, guys.